to the Behind the Drapes podcast. I'm your host, Expo Rich, and we are recording here at the IAEE EXPO EXPO show floor. And I have my longtime dear friend, Carrie Ferenac from Convention News Television, founder, CEO, president. And I'm so happy that we got this opportunity because usually you're out on the floor doing these,
right.
and I can never get the opportunity. So thank you for carving out some time for me.
Absolutely.
And, because throughout our how long we know each other, it's like you've been definitely a staple in the industry as far as on media goes. So so I'm honored for you to be here.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it.
And why I do this podcast is I like to educate people on the people that are doing the things. We oftentimes spend most of our careers showcasing other brands, talking about a show, talking about a customer, talking about a company brand. And I want to learn more about you.
Thanks.
And with that, I like to start with, how'd you get started here?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first, thank you. I'm super excited to be here. And it's almost strange to be on this side of the microphone. I'm not going to lie. I spent most of my life asking the questions, not answering the questions. So here I am. I fell into the industry, like so many people say. My first life was in television news. So I worked at the NBC affiliate in Orlando for most of my career. I did newscast producing, every newscast in the building, worked my way up to senior executive producer, and thought I was going to go work at the Today Show or nightly news. But it became apparent that I was going to have to move, and I just had 2 of my 3 kids, and it wasn't working for me. So I left journalism kicking and screaming. And because of someone I knew, I got connected with an organization that did trade publications for aviation events. It's called Aviation International News. And they asked us to create AIN TV. And that's really how we got started. I met my business partner, Marcelo Zalessi, who you know. We were freelancing on that event. And we knew what we didn't know, which meant we knew we didn't know the convention, exhibitions, events industry. But because of my time in news, I knew a gentleman who did, and his name was Bill Pieper. And you may have known Bill. He started the Orlando CVB many, many moons ago. And he was a legend in the industry. So we called Bill and said, we need your help, guide us, teach us. And he did. And then he said, who's selling for you guys? And we're like, what do you mean selling for us? We don't understand, which was hilarious. So he became our first salesperson.
Oh, that's cool.
And honestly, because we're on the show floor here, the very first thing he did was, you guys need to be exhibiting at Expo EXPO.
Oh, that's funny.
And it was in Miami in 2000.
It was 99 and 2009.
Okay, so was it 2009? Okay, it must have been 2009 in Miami. And it was, we didn't even know what we were doing. But we walked the show floor with Bill Pieper and met all the people, and a lot of the rest is history because he got us connected into the industry.
Oh, that's great.
So it's cool.
And I mean, what a great slingshot in like being connected to the president of the CVB right away. Yes. We joke that had we not had Bill, we still think we could have formed a company, but we would not have been as entrenched in this space, which is now where like my passion is. We joke that we would have been a guy with a camera and a girl with a dream. Like we just would have been like every other production company on the planet. But Bill was able to set us up with IAEE and other industry organizations at the time. He could pick up the phone and people knew him. So vetting you led the way for sure. And then as creating a niche, because what do they say, riches in the niches?
Yes, exactly.
So being focused on the industry itself is, kind of created something.
Exactly. And even now, 17 years later, which is insane to me because I don't feel old enough to have been doing this for 17 years. But anyway, even now, we will meet potential clients who say, man, we hired a videographer, we hired a production company. The video looked great, but they didn't understand our space. They didn't understand we need to show busy trade show floor. They didn't understand who the exhibitors and the attendees were. They didn't understand the buyers and the sellers. And so being literally entrenched in this is a niche for us. We don't do anything else. We don't do any other video production except in this space.
Well, it's good that you're busy enough with that too, right?
Yes, that's true.
That's you don't have to go hunting around figuring other things.
But, right. There are plenty of trade shows, right?
Yes, I do.
Everyone says there's one for everything.
One for everything. It's like that's when I'm trying to explain what I do for a living to people that don't know what the industry. I say, well, what industry are you in? There's a trade show for it.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. So.
I often will say, are you a member of any association or have you been to a trade show?
Yeah.
Because people can sometimes see it in their own vertical.
Yes.
Like you're saying, but they can't see it as an entire industry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when you were in like traditional news,
Mm-hmm.
you know, did you have anybody that was mentors that helped you along the way? Because I always love to hear, like, it's like why you're sitting in the seat today is you've grown into leadership. And being, you know, starting a company, you have to be a leader and you have to get there through some sort of experience and stuff, and having mentors to help us along the way. So, so can you speak on some of the mentors that helped you?
Sure, absolutely. One that comes to mind is a gentleman named Bill Bauman. And people in our industry would not know him. He's a news director, general manager, well known in television news. He's since retired. But Bill came to Channel 2, where I was, and wanted to make local news important again. And it was one of the first times that we really tried to tell important stories and focus on people and not just chase ambulances and cover bullshit, frankly.
Right.
And Bill taught me, number one, that it's all about storytelling. And number two, that you can be a leader without being a jerk. You know, in news, it's tough, right? There's a lot of, back in the day, there was a lot of screaming, there was a lot of hardcore time pressure, pressure cooker situations. And Bill led with this, and still does, he's retired, we're friends, we go fishing. But he just led with this sort of peaceful positivity, and he could be really tough.
Right.
I wanted to be better because I worked for him, but he taught me things like, if you're gonna fire someone, they should never be surprised. That's a lesson that I carry through today. He taught me that you have to teach people, you have to give clear expectations, you have to be positive and motivate people. And because that worked for me, I carried that through starting the company and being president now of the company and being chair of the board and all the things. Doesn't mean it's easy. No. But it was a leadership lesson more than a news lesson, if that makes sense.
I recently read a book. It's a short, easy book. And it's called Wisdom of the Bullfrog, and leadership is simple but not easy.
Yes, I agree. And sometimes I know when I'm missing the mark, but at least I know it, and then I can go fix it. Right?
You know about the he's the story behind Make Your Bed Every Day. The guy that did the.
He's a military, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's the one that wrote the book.
Yes.
So I'll send it to you. It's a great little book.
Yeah. I've heard that story, but I've never read the book.
Yeah. It's a great little book. It's But yeah, like that. It's simple but not easy.
Exactly. I agree. And I think also because of what we do, we have the luxury of hearing so many keynote speakers. There are some that are just so inspiring. I really enjoyed the keynote yesterday here at the general session. And honestly, there are so many, you know, you kind of go and you wonder. He inspired me. And when I had to sit next to Brian Pagel and tell him my goal and what I want to do, now it made it real. So I'm going home with a new goal and a new thing to do because of that keynote speaker.
When you have to get a little uncomfortable, you know, it's you know, there's always a change, a shift, and
100%.
And I always like that when they get people out of a comfort zone and making people like that, saying it out loud.
Yes, exactly. And I always start with positivity. It's one of our Super 7 company values. We have 7, which may be too many, but we have 7. Positivity is one of them, and I start there. And I think it's important that people know that doesn't mean things are sunshine and rainbows all the time. It's not that. It's a positivity that we can figure this out, that I'm going to try and give you the tools you need. And if it doesn't work, then so be it. But at least we have tried. And so we have tried to motivate, we've tried to teach, we've tried to explain the why. Brene Brown says paint done. I think that's really important. Like, what is this going to look like at the end? Painting done so that we can back it up and get there. We have a lot of meetings at CNTV. And it's not for the sake of meetings, but it's trying to make sure everyone's on the same page. Everyone understands what we're trying to do for our clients. And I still believe that happens when people come together face to face.
100%. And that's we're an in-person company. We don't have anybody that's remote. So it's and because of that, because what we do on the level of if we just have a team working on a booth or we have a team working on a whole convention, and it's like everybody's sitting around the same table, even via Zoom if they're different offices, but still like meeting because we like you get so much more done and answered. And you know, we all know that you can you can read an email one way or you can read it another way.
Right. You can't read tone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you talk about the positivity thing, because we actually really did a revamp of our culture a couple of years ago and really leaned in on leadership through accountability. And one of our things is, positive intent. And
I like that.
And going to every meeting and discussion with positive intent, because a lot of times people get defensive. If I bring you something that I think was wrong, you immediately think I'm telling you you're wrong.
Right.
And it's like, it's nothing to do with you, nothing to do with me. This is about the client. This is about our work.
Yes.
So so receive it with positive intent, that it's not about a flaw on you. It's about something we need to accomplish.
Right.
So that's we've shifted our whole culture into that deal. Everything with positive intent. So,
I love that. And I think once you have that and you've defined that, you can do reviews on that. You can hire people based on that. You can fire people if you have to based on that. Like things that make the values the center is what's really important.
Yeah, and you said, someone shouldn't be surprised if they get fired. But
right.
You're right. We like to say the problem solves itself.
Yes,
because
often.
You work really hard to resuscitate it.
Right.
If they're not willing to put the work in, and that you are,
That's it. Yeah, so. I mean, I always say that because to me, either they were doing something egregious and got caught, and that happens. Okay, rare, but it does. Or we've had conversations and we've explained this is what you need to start, stop, and continue. Right? Start this, stop this, and continue this. Hopefully been clear. And then we've had another conversation and another conversation. So if it doesn't work out, they know. And then sometimes are ready to go. And I prefer that it's fixed and we move on, obviously.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the positivity, but sometimes you have to be real. I mean, it is kind of what it is.
But. So as we are tiptoeing towards 2025, what are you excited about for next year? What's the thing that you're excited to jump out of bed in the morning as far as for your career, for your company?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've been thinking about this, right? AI keeps coming to my mind, obviously. I think AI is going to continue to impact our industry. I think it's going to continue to, at CNTV, make us more efficient because now ChatGPT can help us do a lot of the things that we do. So my favorite quote about AI is that AI will not replace people. People who use AI will replace people who do not.
That's a good one.
Because I just think that that's where we're headed and we have to embrace it. However, I combine that, looking forward to the technology, with even more of a focus on the face-to-face. And I really believe that the more we start using technology for things, that separates us a little bit from people. So events like this, where we're sitting having a real conversation, become even more important. And I think finding that balance is going to be really hard, but also really important as we go forward. And for us, for the company, I'm looking forward to trying and figure that out. We're looking to scale, we're looking to grow, we're looking to hire more people, to continue engaging with more customers, and we're going to try and help them figure out how to use AI, and they're going to help us based on what their needs are. So that's what came to mind as I look at 25 and what I think will change in the next year.
That's awesome.
Well,
thank you so much for being here today. This was great. Every time I sit in this booth with someone who I know for a really long time, I learn a lot more.
I know, right? That's true.
It's great to have a format to actually talk about this stuff.
Absolutely. One of these days right now, I might ask you to go to our studio and then I'll interview you.
Okay.
We'll
Deal.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Thanks. I appreciate it.